Hello. Okay, I have a beautiful orange dress on for you guys. It looks red in the camera, but it's actually orange. We are going to talk about really more story about my journey in entrepreneurship and really what it takes to start and operate a business and actually make it profitable. Okay, so we're going to talk about that, my 4 tries at this thing until it clicked. So we're live. Hello, good morning, happy Wednesday. One of the things about starting a business, I think, is that it kind of is scary because one of the things about wanting to do the thing that you've always been afraid to do is that you are afraid it's going to flop. It's going to be embarrassing to people to know and hear and talk about you. And it's another thing that you've tried that failed. Well, for me, it took me 4 tries. I'm 36 years old now. In my 20s, I've tried multiple times. And then finally in my 30s, it clicked. And I want you guys to hear this out, because if you guys are in this place where it's like, damn, I really want to figure out how to make money from home. I want to figure out how to put something together that I can actually sell to people and make a community out of it and make a greater impact and also heal through the process of sharing my story. You can actually really get it done as long as you don't give up. That's really the biggest thing here. So my 4 tries consisted of so many failures and a lot of flopping embarrassments. The first one was, oh my God, this is probably the worst one out of all of them. The first one was so bad that I had failed relationships around me. I lost $50,000 out of an investment that somehow the universe gave me the money for me to start this business. At the time, I'd always been in business in the type of business background. So I've always been in operations with business. I've always helped people develop their businesses, start their LLCs, and have their business licenses. So early in my 20s, I got into corporate planning. That's what it's called, corporate planning. And that's why now I help a lot of my clients do the same, because of that knowledge and my background in it. So what happened? Well, I started working for this company who taught me how to do LLCs, how to start up corporate entities. Hey girl, how are you? I miss you. How to open up your business bank account, have an operating agreement, right? And have a business license. I started doing that every single day for people. And so I thought I can actually start this business on my own, and I did. 2 years of me doing that for this company, I decided to start my own business doing this as my own business operating person. So I did it. Then we somehow had found an investor who decided to invest in us, and it was a lot of money. I was about 21 years old. We got $50,000 of an investment towards running and starting this business, which at 21 years old, you guys, here in Las Vegas, I blew it. I spent $10,000 at the Apple Store. Okay, you guys, probably the worst investment ever. We bought MacBook Airs. We got everything we thought made sense. A part of that also, though, is our immaturity in managing money. Then one of the things was I spent $8,000 of that investment towards a website. So back then, yes, but the point of this, amazing to be young and ambitious, Shar, the point of this is that I blew the investment, right? I spent $8,000 on a website. And at the time, websites weren't really popular, or it wasn't as easy to come by it as it is now. Now you can get a website from WordPress and then have a Build-A-Bear kind of website. You can build your own website pretty easily. Back in 2000, whatever, 8 or 9, that was when I had done this business. we had no clue about websites, right? We had no idea of how to put it together. We thought it was super complex. At the time, we had no systems where you can put a template together, not like today. Today, you can actually build a website for free in minutes. So we spent $8,000 on a website. No traffic went to this website. It was a waste of money. Anyway, the short story to this first business endeavor for me is that in 6 months, I would say 6 to 8 months, less than a year for sure, I blew that money. The money was gone. $50,000, absolutely gone. I did not know where it went besides those two things that I told you guys about. I was young. I had no clue how to manage money, let alone a business. And one of the things that I didn't think about at the time was, okay, if I start this business, right, how do I drive leads to this business? How do I drive leads to this business? I had no fucking idea. But I had a good ass idea about the business, right? I had a great idea on how to start this business and the skill set required to deliver the services. However, I had no idea on marketing and sales. That was the biggest lesson for me, was that marketing and sales for my first business endeavor flopped. My first business endeavor flopped. Okay, so Cher says, we learn from mistakes to know better at present. Very true. And that's why 4 tries later, we are here. And I know exactly what to do with my business. I know exactly what to focus on. I know exactly how to drive leads to my services and to who I am and my brand. In 21, 22-year-old me, I had no clue how to do that. I didn't know anything about marketing. I had no clue on how to do sales. I had no clue on what community to even talk to and touch on. Besides, another thing that we did do during that time was networking events. We were like, well, maybe we can find people at networking events to make us profitable, right? But that didn't work because I had no clue how to fucking network either. I think it was more of a popularity contest when I would network versus actually talking to people, making connections, and sharing with people what I do and how I can support them. Again, sales. Do you know how to sell? Okay, so that was business flop number 1. I didn't even talk about my business that I started back when I was like maybe a senior in high school. There was this huge wave on multi-level marketing, and at the time all the cool kids were doing it, and I think the sign up was like $250 to sign up for it, right? And someone had paid for my membership, so I was like, fuck it, let's go do it, and I'm just gonna kick it with y'all while we do this thing, right? Whatever this thing is that we're doing. And it was multi-level marketing. We would meet up with people. It was something to do. However, was I really sold on the services? No. I was there because everyone else was doing it. I was there because I had nothing else going on, right? And all my friends were doing this thing. Someone had paid for my membership, so I was there. However, I was not sold on the service itself. Therefore, did I make money? Nope. Did I sign anyone under me? Nope. Was I really sold on what we were doing? Absolutely not. So I think that first exposure to community and business, the first lesson was being sold on your services. Being sold on your services. Okay, so that first time I was introduced to multi-level marketing back when I was a senior in high school, which was 20, 30, 40 years ago, okay, I was not sold in my services. I was actually just doing it to be a part of a community, right? Just to kind of hang out with people. So that was number 1. I wasn't sold on my services. Number 2, when I had done my business, the incorporating, long term, I miss you. Hello. When I had done my business, the incorporating business with business licensing, I was sold on my service because I felt like everyone should be incorporated. Everyone should have a business license. Everyone should use an LLC so that they can have tax advantages and they can put everything under their LLC and they're protected, right? So I was sold in the service. However, I didn't know how to sell and I didn't know how to market. You see, every single step forward I took in business, I learned such valuable lesson. First lesson was to be sold in my services. Second lesson was to master marketing and sales, right? And what happens with that is if you are going into business, whether it be online or whether it be in a place of brick and mortar, let's say you go to a store and you're actually selling your services, you have to be really good at articulating yourself, showing up, being able to tell your services and share what it does, what you can do and help people with, and how to pitch yourself. And those are the things that I actually learned in my coaching business, my first year in business. One of the things that I had to really force myself to learn, you guys, was marketing and sales, because that was one of the things that I didn't know. I lacked that. And in order for you to drive leads, you actually have to know how to speak, and you need to know how to make a connection with your audience. And if you don't know how to make a connection with your audience, you guys, you are SOL. You have no clue what to do. You don't know what to say. All you know is that you are trying really hard to drive profits into your business, but there is nothing and no one you're talking to that can actually say yes to you. So marketing and sales is probably one of the biggest things, and being sold in your services is one of the biggest lessons I've learned in my 4 attempts of starting a business. Now, when I had started my business in my coaching, being a coach, I actually started off as an author first. I had written my first book. A part of writing my book, I didn't know that it was gonna be this thing where now I teach other people how to do that. And then also it is now a coaching business, which causes for people to actually start their own business and be online and grow from there. So when I first started writing my book, I just wrote it because I was kind of like in the lows of being a mom, and I felt really depressed during that time. So I felt like, well, maybe self-expression will really help me heal some parts of myself. And so that's what I did. I wrote this book, and then that is when I was like, man, I need people to buy these books. So how do I get people to buy my books? Well, marketing is a big deal when you're trying to push an item or a service. And that is when I started learning online marketing, was when I wrote my first book, The Boss Mom Mentality. It's available on Amazon. If you're a new mom, that is a wonderful place to start when you are, learning about how to balance your mom life and your new identity. Okay, The Boss Mom Mentality. Then I had started my podcast. The book, I think I made like $100-some on the book. A lot of my friends and family bought it, which I'm so thankful for the support. But I didn't get a massive, like, millions of people buying it, obviously. Right? I didn't have a large enough platform. Not a lot of people knew me, let alone want to buy a book from me. So I made maybe over $100 off of the book. I spent a year on this thing, you guys. So when I made that much, I was kind of like, man, I am a little disappointed that this book didn't really take off. But what you want to think about is, well, what does it do for me now? Well, it builds authority in my position as an online marketer. I have a book, right? The next thing I did was I started a podcast. Now, again, these two things were not necessarily planned for me to be in business. I just wanted to do it because of self-expression, for the sake of expressing these things I had inside of me that really wanted to come out, right? So it wasn't calculated so that I could start a coaching business. Absolutely not. I just listened to my intuition and I took steps forward. That is what I want you guys to do in your life, in your business. I want you to take steps forward in what it is that you're being called to do. Because as you step forward into these things that your intuition is telling you to do, you guys, things are going to start filling in for you. The universe will start putting people in your place, putting people in your corner to support you. Hi, Kat. I hope you're doing well. Putting people in your support system. And also you're going to start getting opportunities to continue doing this thing that you're doing, right? So the biggest thing I think was self-expression, the desire to express myself. Writing a book, starting a podcast, right? Two things. However, what those two things required was what? It needed a form of marketing. Well, how am I going to get people to know about the book? How am I going to get people to know about my podcast? You know, marketing is probably one of the biggest things that I learned in my business, is how to market, how to get people to want to know about you, how to get people to know about you, period, and your brand is all around marketing, right? And so when I wrote my book and I started my podcast, I had to really dig deep into the marketing aspect of business. Okay, so with that, once I, figured out, okay, well, I got to do marketing. I got to start putting these things together so that I can drive demand towards my products and services. Now what? Now that I have people coming to me, what do I do with them now? And that is when I learned sales. Sales is really just an art of persuasion. How do you get people to say yes to you? How do you get people to be sold in the thing you're selling? What is it that you offer that people want to be like, I want to be a part of that, right? And there is, I think if this is Kat is probably one of the biggest network marketing people I know. She is a huge, master networker is what I call her, because she has that ability to market herself in a way that positions her, and also people want to be a part of that, right? So how do you guys get into that place where you market yourself and you kind of build like a movement forward of your services, your brand, and your products? And that is what I'd had to learn to do when I started being a book writer, an author, and then my podcast. And then from there, that is when I started my Podcasting for Women in Facebook group. Now we're clear to 2,300 people in there. I don't do much in the Facebook group. However, it's continuously driving leads to me every single day. And I take those leads, throw them into my email list. I market to my email list every single day. I send these lives to my email list so they know I have something to talk about. And then I encourage them to book a call, or I encourage them to purchase whatever it is that I'm selling at that moment. So, well, what did I say? Marketing, sales, and then driving leads to your products and services. So what did I do to do that? I started my Facebook group, and that is how I drive leads to my email list and my text message list. So my 4 attempts, you guys, if you look back and listen back in my 4 attempts, it was a lot of lessons, right? I had to learn to be sold in my services with my multi-level marketing business I did back in high school. I needed to really know that I was in business to make money and not to just be a part of a community for the sake of popularity, right? Number 2, I needed to also learn how to, drive leads to my incorporating business, where, again, what did I do then? I sold LLCs, how to form LLCs in Nevada, how to get your business bank account up, how to do your operating agreement, and how to have your business license. So from there, I was sold in my services, but I did not know how the fuck to drive leads to my fucking services. I had no clue. I was about 21, 22, blew the investment that we had gotten, lost relationships around it. And I think that is probably one of the biggest reasons why I would prefer, if anybody is going into business today and they're thinking about joining or partnering up with another person, I always recommend to do business alone. Don't ever rely on other people to 50-50 go into a business with you. If you do something like that, you have to have more control in the actual business say, okay? Because a part of that is someone's gonna work harder than you, or not you, but someone's gonna work harder in the partnership, and you're gonna build resentment there. And then also you have decisions to make that you have to run by someone else. It kind of takes away from the fun of having your own business. So I recommend to do that on your own, based on my experience with that incorporating business, because I had actually, Kat says yes, exactly. I'd actually had a falling out with a very dear friend of mine. We didn't do well. Let's just say it was a bad idea. I'm never doing that again. That was about 16 years ago, and I still stand by that lesson. Don't ever go into business, I say, with anybody, not even your spouse. Not even your spouse. You got to keep that separate. So driving leads to your business is what I learned in the second business that I started in my 20s. And then I didn't really touch on my blogging experience. I was trying to blog, and again, it was more based on the self-expression. I really wanted to express myself. Like, I just had this deep desire to just write. I think my biggest form of communication at the time, prior to really learning communication and being able to articulate myself, writing was my thing. I would write something. I had a journal I would always journal in. So I figured, well, why not write a blog? I attempted that twice, I think, twice or 3 times. And I would like start a blog and then do that for a few months and then stop. So I didn't really get to build the blog. I didn't get to, a lot of people do like affiliate marketing with blogs, advertising with blogs. I didn't get to follow through with that because I wasn't consistent enough. I just felt, who the fuck is gonna want to read this? Like who cares about whatever I think about whatever is happening in my life? And and that is where you think of yourself. And in my blogging experience, I was more consumed with, well, who really cares about what it is that I have to say? And that is one of the things that I actually walk my clients through, is this like worthiness issue. It's almost like my lessons are not big enough for people to be moved by them. My lessons in life are not massive enough, worthy enough, important enough, significant enough, right, to be continuing to write this blog. All the while, there are other people who are doing this and making money, right? So what did I do? I quit the blogging thing. I continued down the thought process of who fucking cares? And then that is when, I started a family. And that is when I wrote my book. When I wrote my book, I was in like the deep depression of my first years in motherhood. And I felt really alone, super just filled with a ton of emotion, and it needed to go out. It needed to be released. And if you are in that place where you're so wanting to express yourself and so wanting to share with the community about what it is that you have in your mind, and it's like this burning desire, I encourage you to step into that, because what's going to happen is you're taking a step forward into the future you, who you're becoming. What is unfolding for you is based on your highest vision. So if you have a desire to express yourself, write a book, start a YouTube channel, do a podcast, guys, do it. Because a year from now, 10 years from now, you're going to thank yourself for trusting yourself, being courageous, and being brave, and listening to that inner God, right? That inner God is telling you, hey, you have a message, you need to share it. So you need to go do that. Thank you so much for those hearts. All right. So those are the pretty much the story in terms of how I started, what really caused me to become, all the things that I do now. One of the things that I'm so proud of is that we're going into the holiday season, and I have pretty much set everything. Like all the things for the rest of the year is set. We have a ton of plans for the rest of the year. If you guys don't know, October is going to be super jam-packed. November is going to be jam-packed, and then December, I'm taking 2 weeks off. So there's a lot of things happening. But in my email list, if you're a part of my email list, you guys know that I'm closing doors to work with me one-on-one. I'm really excited about that, because what is happening here is that there is 9 days left until I close the doors to work with me one-on-one. And again, the reason why I'm doing this is because I have predictable income for the rest of the year. I already have my clients in. I know what I'm making next month, the following month, all the way till spring and summertime next year. So what does that mean for me? That means I can literally choose to close the doors in my coaching business so that I am not consumed with that aspect, and I can literally serve my current clients, still do some videos here and there with my audience on my platforms, but really be more focused on my family, all the plans that we have going on for the rest of the year. October, November, December is super jam-packed with so many things. I cannot wait. But a part of that, you guys, is that I am closing the doors. If you guys have been thinking to work with me, what it's like to work with me, what do you get, all the things. I want to do a business strategy call with Maria, but I haven't yet. Book your call with me, because I am closing doors. We got 9 days left until one-on-one with me is kaput, at least until the end of the year. Okay, guys? All right, so that is it for me, you guys. Thank you so much for spending some time with me this morning. Happy Wednesday, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. Mwah.